everyone. I'm Mariquita Solis, and I'm here with Paige Parsons Roach. And we are going to be sharing some exciting news that VCOP 22 is coming up July 26th and 27th, Thriving on Planet B. All right. And so Paige is one of our esteemed speakers. So we're going to get to learn a little bit more about her today. Thanks for joining me, Paige.
Yes, absolutely always. Thank you.
And we have something in common. We're both climate healers.
Yes,
So
we are healing the climate. We are helping our planet every step of the way.
right. And how long have you been a climate healer?
Oh my goodness. I've been part of Climate Healer since 2018. I went to my very first VCOP in person. So it wasn't the virtual, but it's the Vegan Convergence of the People. We were calling ourselves Vegan World by 2026. And I was astounded being in Arizona and being around Dr. Silas Rao and Kamaya, his granddaughter, and his beautiful wife, Janie, and I met all these wonderful people in person, like Rebecca Allen and more of the team. And it was just astounded by people from around the world that came together to heal the climate. Yeah.
It is amazing. I know. And this is like one of the best things I've ever done was to find out about climate healers and to learn about how to take action and how to speak up for our planet. And I love being a climate healer because y'all are so warm and loving and always supportive.
Oh, well, I do find that too. I find that, it's a place for people to come and learn. So it's an opportunity to learn as well as present your ideas. So if you have an idea how to heal the climate, it's a great space for that as well. And we exchange ideas, and there's so much to offer with climate healers. You can also get certified as a climate healer. So there's a certification process, and it's not a crazy, take you a long time, super long journey of 5 years or whatever. It's pretty quick and easy, and you're spending some time with Dr. Rao as well, learning, what his process has been to come up with the concepts and science, and working with those numbers to come up with the scientific paper that he came up with, the white paper that so inspired me into launching me into really being an activist. And it started with being boots on the ground um, for animals. Yeah, yeah. Having seen little piglets that were puffed up and fed lots of food that was not for them, 4 to 6 month old, to become basically bacon and hot dogs from a company that I used to purchase from. And they were being brought from a farm to a slaughterhouse, and it was intense. That's facts. Those are just some facts. And when I saw the pigs in their eyes being transported as part of the group that was there, is the Los Angeles Animal Save, bringing water and kindness to these pigs, I said, wow, there are people just like me who were buying these products just like me that don't have this information, do not know this, because here I was, a woman in her 40s, being blown away by this information. I'm like, what? Because I never really wanted to look. And I think that's a very important point, right? Mariquita, it's like, you don't know until you know, because you don't know what you don't know until you're shown like a blind spot. And then once you know, what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to take action? Sometimes it's too overwhelming and we can't process it, and we decide, I think that's maybe where I was prior to it being brought to my attention.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that those are horrible people, but I mean, I think that's a human, it's part of human being a human being. Like we have to protect ourselves. And so I don't think it's that that person's bad. It's a typical response. If something's going to hurt us, we step away from it.
That's right. We fight, if we fight or flight, we flight a lot because we're like, I don't know if I can process this information that is too big. Yes, I think that there's something about that. Well, and leading into I feel like now that my work with the plant-based treaty, I feel like as an environmentalist since my 20s, really in my 20s, I started seeing, I went to an Earth Day event, I helped out. Paul McCartney was doing this Earth Day event, basically bringing awareness about our challenges. And I was at the Hollywood Bowl. I don't know if I told you the story before. And one thing that blew me away was there was a rapper who had brought ribs, some, speaking of pigs, pig ribs on into the Hollywood Bowl space to eat, like in the green room. And he got wind of it literally and said, I need to have that removed. This is my event. I'm a vegetarian. I do not eat meat, and this is a vegetarian event, and it's not okay with me. And I remember thinking, what? He stopped the concert. And I
Oh,
was like, what? That is so bold. That is so bold. I had no idea. It didn't make me go vegan or vegetarian, but it had me think the boldness of that. I remember that sticking with me. And then moving into going and cleaning beach, doing beach cleanups, organizing beach cleanups, and then having children and them getting involved with a dance troupe, basically a dance organization, where they would dance for social causes. And my kids were part of that. And I became part of the board. It's called Move the World. And just looking back over the time frame, and my kids were involved for many years, from dancing about banning plastic straws and microplastics, the little tiny microplastics, to bullying. And so it was social causes. It was all kinds of causes. Um, and they would dance and do performances that the choreographer Cecily created, and she actually brought in the children as well to co-create these projects. It was really beautiful. So I did that for about 10 years. Then I went vegan in there somewhere and realized that this is truly the message I want to get out about the cost of, our food. I'm just going to say I absolutely love this. We just did an incredible food day, the plant-based treaty in West Hollywood, and we were giving these out, and it's called Food Day. We're talking about food policy, and even we brought in Hollywood too, how maybe the changes within the listing, the speaking about the showing characters eating plant-based foods, and also having plant-based by default at events. So, how much does your food cost the earth? This is really interesting. 22 gallons for, no, whoa, 108 gallons for one slice of cheddar cheese. What? That's a lot of gallons. But you had to say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm sorry, that was for a slice of bacon.
oh,
Okay, so raising the pig,
mhm.
feeding the grain. You have to grow the grain, right? Okay, wait, let's just break down another one. 40 gallons for a slice of cheese. 40 gallons. Okay, now wait. Hold on a second because this is crazy. Only 1 gallon for two slices of tomatoes. That's it. 1 gallon. Okay, wait. 0.2 gallons for one leaf of lettuce. So, I mean, wow. So, anyway,
Wow.
now I'm advocating and bringing messages of the plant-based treaty forward to people and cities and council members and groups, environmental groups as well, saying, let's flip the narrative and bring more plants forward on people's plates, right? As a greenhouse gas emissions solution for your city or your state. Mostly we're working with the cities here. There are 88 cities in Los Angeles County alone. And I border Conejo Valley, right? In Los Angeles County, I border. So I'm also working with cities going up the coast. I'm in the northern part of Southern California. And then we hit going into Central California, and then you've got Northern California, right? I'm on the north end of Southern California. So we're working endlessly on bringing this message forward. You can lower, how much does it cost the earth? Lower your greenhouse gas emissions by flipping the narrative and serving plant-based as a default over serving a meat burger, right? You're serving a plant-based burger. And if someone wants the meat or the dairy cheese, they have to ask for it. But what's being sold is a plant-based option. So, yes.
That's amazing. You're doing such, I mean, powerful work. So Paige, I would love to hear what's the take when you talk to the environmentalists? How do they respond to you?
Well, I'll tell you this. Back in 2018 and 2019, when the young people and the youth were striking with Greta Thunberg, right? They're striking in the streets. Dr. Rao rolled out this information about animal agriculture being the leading cause of our climate crisis, right? So, coupled with the information about fossil fuels. And if you remember, I mean, lots happened since then, right? We were all in a lockdown in 21, 2, 3, basically all in there. It was like in and out of lockdown, right? But prior to that, the kids were marching in the streets and the adults were joining them, right? Fossil fuels, fossil fuels. Well, once I got this information from Dr. Rao and started to see some other people talking about this as well, animal agriculture being, if not the leading cause, which Dr. Rao was saying, one of the leading causes, right? But I'll tell you, back then, it wasn't as much information as it is now. So Climate Healers really was the forerunners, I will say, putting out the information. And my point is that once I learned this, again, once I learned this information, I knew I had to get the information out as best I could. So I was marching in the streets with these ginormous green signs. They were big, they were huge, about animal agriculture being the leading cause. And a lot of the young people were mad. They're like, what are you talking about? And there was people who were bringing up, they rode the bus for 2 hours to get there. These are young people. My parents are on a very limited budget. How can you ask me to change when we are just affording getting by? So we decided, this team, and Patricia headed it up, to bring plant-based meals to them while they were down there. So we had Julie Goes Green pizzas and sandwiches. People were donating left and right. So every time on Fridays, it was Fridays, we'd be marching, we would bring food. And we did like a rally. We helped put a stage and a microphone, Ellen Dent and Patricia Perito. And it built and it became this beautiful experience. And then, so you're circling back to your question is now what I find is that since then, there was a pushback that it was about the fossil fuels. And now, 7 years later or 6 years later, right? 6, 7 years later, like, where did that get us? Because the companies really haven't made much changes, many changes. So, with that in mind, what can you, person, right there, individual on a billions scale, if you scale it up, what difference can you make? Well, let's talk about how a third of global emissions come from food. A third. Let's talk about that. What does that mean for you individually when you eat 3 times a day and some snacks in between, perhaps, right? Let's get this information out to you. Plant-based solutions are the key to change. So let's do our best to get the information out. So one of the things, if I may, information campaign. We really have a public awareness and information campaign that we table all over the city, all over the world, really. And I love this starter guide that's available online for anybody. So you can go to plantbasedtreaty.org and get all this information. But I hand this out to people and say, look at this brand new food chart. This is a new food chart. It's not that new, but it is one that is unfamiliar to many. Let's put it that way. And it talks about these 3 aspects. Protein. A lot of people ask, where do you get your protein? From plants. Okay. Iron and calcium. Those are the 3 that are most talked about in particular. And there's also omegas as well. So I love to give out, this has tons of resources. It also talks about the emissions and the ways you can take action. That would be like the next step. This would be for like someone who is like, wait a minute, I just got this information. What do I do now? Right? So I'm telling you, my goal is definitely to stop global warming. Okay. Stop deforestation. Many people don't realize that, we're cutting down trees to uh, grow soy that's not then fed to animals, not humans.
Right.
Right? I also want to stop methane emissions, right? And if we can have an impact now, we can have an impact now, which is right away, right? Because a lot of these solutions that I've been hearing about in the environmental space is going to take 5 to 10 years.
Mm.
Whereas changing your diet to putting more plant-based food on your plate, that's immediate. That could be right now you making a choice for dinner, right? And then shifting to a plant-based. So we're inviting people to endorse, sign, so it shows the solidarity. Okay. That's the point. And then what we do is we go in and we talk to leaders and so forth. Plus also having the plant-based treaty being added to the Paris Agreement, which is like the fossil fuel treaty. We modeled this after the fossil fuel treaty. So adding plant-based treaty as a solution for our climate crisis. Yeah. So essentially, this is what I'm doing every day, bringing forth awareness. Yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. I mean, you are a change maker. There's no doubt about that. So let's talk about what are you going to be discussing at VCOP 22? And I want to make sure everybody goes to climatehealers.org to register early for VCOP 22, July 26th and 27th. And what are you going to be talking about?
Okay, well, two things I want to talk about real quickly is how you can turn your food waste, take it out of the trash. That's the first thing we're inviting people to do. So big jar. You can also get one of these little more fancy get-ups right on the side to take your food scraps out of the trash because it creates methane. Stinky trash, trash don't stink no more. You know why? My food scraps aren't in there. So when you add the food scraps in with the rest of your trash, you're getting methane. So let's reduce the methane by taking food scraps out of the trash, right? And then also how they're a really rich resource. So wait, what? My trash is a resource? Yes, your trash is a resource. Your food scraps that were considered trash. You don't have to trash them anymore. We're going to talk about how we can use them for other ways of resourcing them out and being purposeful with our food waste. Okay. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about as well.
Wonderful. Well, you have changed my life with that kind of discussion. So, I have my little thing right here, actually. I'll show it to you.
Let me see. Oh, there it is.
Compost is right here. Thanks to
I
you.
love it. Well, Marquita, let's practice the song. You ready?
Okay.
We're gonna take our food scraps out of the trash. Take our food scraps out of the trash. Boom, boom, boom. Food scraps out of the trash.
Take
Food
a food
scraps
scrap
out of the
out,
trash.
trash. Boom,
Join
boom.
me.
I
Food scraps out
scraps
of the
out of
trash. Take
trash.
the food
Food
scraps
scraps
out of the trash.
trash.
Boom, boom, boom. Exactly. So those of you at home can do it too. And we are definitely going to be, I have another song too, but we'll wait till VCOP for my other song. Okay, everyone?
Buddy, yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Paige. We'll see everybody VCOP 20, July 26th, 27th. Go register early. We'll see you there.
See you
Bye.
there. Bye.